TC show number 833.
33?
I think so, yeah.
Wow, what a blur.
Wait.
Okay.
It's the first show. It's the first show. I will announce it. I will announce it. First show that you and I have been sober together.
Yes, because we
Right.
sober at different times.
Yeah.
But we've never sobered at the same time.
No.
That's amazing.
This could be the worst show we've ever had because we're not fucked
We're
up.
warning all of you. We're actually sober. So we hope we don't disappoint you tonight. Yeah. Because normally, as you know.
And if you think it might improve the show, then we can go get a cocktail and come back. Start all over again.
Well, next week, if you think we suck, we know we do. But
Okay.
you can comment and say, hey, get back on the bottle.
Who's our guest tonight? Who's unfortunate enough to be here, also sober, and maybe not. I saw a Guinness around here somewhere.
There was a Guinness floating around, but that was not us. And you're English. Were you?
I love
you were
Guinness.
you were looking at that thing, huh?
Yeah.
You're like,
Guinness? Oh
Guinness,
my
that's
God!
what-
Yeah, it's like a dinner.
Yeah. That's your kryptonite, right?
My son, who don't mention that he took a trip to England.
Yes.
First thing he did when he got to the hotel, went to the pub and got a Guinness. Yeah.
And then took a picture and sent it to you and teased you.
Yes. Yeah. Good morning, Dad.
So is that like English porn? Taking a picture of a Guinness and sending it to somebody? Tonight, everybody.
Yes.
We have Swellcycle in the house. Tyler and Patricio. Patricio, you're the CEO.
Yeah.
Tyler, do you have a moniker?
Yeah, I'm one of the co-founders.
Co-founders.
Yep.
So are you a VP? Is there a VP?
There's
VPP.
I'm just his right-hand man.
Okay, so we're
do
and
it
just so you folks know, Neil and I did not do any research.
Zip.
All I know is these guys are building surfboards.
There was waves all day long for crying out.
Yeah, hopefully everybody got surfing today. But there is a new surfboard thing going on here in town, and we're going to learn about it together. So it is called Swellcycle. I do know the cycle is partially of recycle, correct? I hope.
You were matching it up. You were matching up today with Save the Waves, right?
Yes.
I was matching it up with cruise foam, kind of thing.
Oh, gotcha. Right.
And that's what I was. Thing came to my head was the Swellcycle and recycled something and cruise foam where we had here.
Right.
Toby Corey.
Another Santa Cruz foam
Right.
brand,
That's kind of a.
but not surfboard related, packaging related more than anything.
Yeah.
But you guys familiar with those dudes, obviously, right?
Doing great stuff.
Okay.
And you guys just got a big. You just got a big award, right?
Yes.
Something.
Yeah.
You won something.
We did, but who's this guy?
Oh, that guy.
I just came in to shop.
Nik Strong-Cvetich is
Hang
here.
on. Hang on.
Just looking at it.
And Nick, for the first time in 10 years of the show, did we get your name right?
Did, but that was on the run up, so now.
Nick Strong-Cvetich.
my God.
Cvetich. I got it too now.
This not drinking thing's really paid off.
Because we butchered it.
Pronunciation is.
Because we butchered it.
No,
What are we gonna do for the rest of the
I
show?
don't know. I have
Usually
no
the
idea.
first quarter.
Just so you folks know, Nick is with Save the Waves. They've done amazing things, and
can talk about that.
if you're a surfer, you owe a lot. If you visit some of the spots that you're involved with, and we will talk about that. I don't know if you're in a huge hurry. I know you got small kids.
You gotta put him in bed, but you know.
You got
Okay,
a few
we'll
minutes.
go with him first because he's gonna go home to the kids.
Just
Okay,
ask
what
me
do you?
2 questions. Put me on the back.
Yeah, pretty much.
I'm done.
Yeah.
hit CVS, get some diapers.
No, I'm here also supporting. I think what these guys are doing is amazing, and so like anything that we can think about with in terms of surfboard design and creation in sort of a different way that's less toxic and less harsh on the environment. That meets the Save the Waves mission, so I'm like a big fan of these guys. So I'm also the hype man here to be like, this is a really good idea.
Well, when I first found out that all three of you were going to be here on the show, I immediately thought maybe you were already having some. Because to me, saving the waves, what you're doing is saving the environment, is perfect fit for what you guys are both trying to do.
Yeah, I'm not going to talk all the time because I think it's really important to hear what their story is and all that. But Tyler and I, like, we hang out, we go on, adventures and stuff. He's a Save the Waves ambassador for a long time. He consistently shows up and helps out, like, goes above and beyond all the time. And so, like, it's a pretty natural fit. So, like, I've been hearing about what they've been doing, sort of from Tyler, like, why he got involved, and, if, like, he gets involved, then it's a real deal, and it's got promise. So I think that's what's really cool.
I want to just jump in real quick, because
Where do you want me to put that 100?
He's on salary now, folks. He's on salary.
Just toss it in there.
I just wanted, some people who have maybe watched this show, but I just wanted to circle back to the last time you were on the show. We were talking about San Miguel and the Save the Waves to make that one of the first, I believe, Mexican surf reserves, if I'm not wrong.
There's we have a lot of world surfing reserves. It was one of them. It was the first state park in Baja.
Gotcha.
Ever
Okay.
created, which was kind of a long and boring process, because there's a lot of like paperwork and Mexican bureaucracy and just boring stories, and a lot of funny stories, like, you know, the whole building where they had all the plans for the park burned down.
Mysteriously?
No, it's just like one of those things happened, like, oh, we couldn't prove it because the building burned down. Oh, we couldn't prove it because we didn't have the right paper for the giant printer.
But that's done, right?
Yeah.
It is an official
It's officially
state park.
decreed by, the state of Baja California Norte. So.
And not only that, but the lagoon and the river that feeds has made that surf spot.
Yeah. And so it goes all the way up, it's like 144 hectares, which I'm trying to convert into acres, but it's like, a couple, almost 200 acres of like the watershed. And that watershed pumps down all those cobbles for those who've been to San Miguel. It's kind of this cool like cobble river mouth break.
It's a magic spot.
Amazing. Yeah.
And if I'm not mistaken, was it going to be a harbor? That was the plan?
Yeah, they had a harbor expansion plan. They had like a bunch of buildings that were happening in the background there, build this building further and further into the watershed. And so, to keep it open. Also, like, for people that don't surf, like, it's one of the few green spaces in Baja. I mean, in Santa Cruz, we're pretty stoked because we've got, like, there's a park there, there's a park there. It's like, you can, like, it's hard to, like, leave your house and not stumble into a park somewhere. Literally, that's, like, the only park they have.
Right.
The only open space.
The public.
Yeah.
Because like I think of Swellcycle, and there's a few spots there.
there's,
Well, the people that live there, are they taking care of that spot? Or
People are stoked.
They stoked?
Yeah, we went down and we just got to see. There was like a surf contest last year in the winter, and it was like kind of right after it happened, and just like how stoked the whole surf community was there, because it's a pretty big like Mexican surf community that's popped up around there, and they're just like, this is awesome.
Well, and what an awesome wave.
Sick. Yeah.
So I mean, I've surfed San Miguel many times in my life, and I've gotten it past second jetty on ripping days.
It's pretty darn good.
Yeah, and it's a really good spot, and so preserving that, you think future generations, your hard work. Yeah. I mean, you're talking about your great grandchildren might be surfing that wave,
Right.
And reaping the work that you put forward. So
Reaping and ripping.
yes, I love it. Yeah. Anything open? Are we? I heard you say something about Puerto Escondido earlier.
Yeah.
That's your favorite wave, TC.
I love it. If you want to get hurt, great spot. It's pretty much like 26th Avenue on steroids.
Yeah.
But what's going on down there?
Yeah, I mean, we've been working a lot in Oaxaca now, so sort of moved from Baja to Oaxaca, a bunch of other places around the world too. But, so spent a lot of time at Punta Conejo. That was another wave that was threatened by a big port development. Again, perfect right-hand point break, sand bottom, amazing mangrove system, all to be destroyed, sort of like a Port of Oakland type project, which if you think of Oakland on top of a pristine point break, your mind kind of explodes. And then Porto, we just launched a campaign there. There's sort of like, we had a bunch of the kind of big wigs reaching out, Greg Long and everybody saying like, the beach is getting smaller and smaller, and it's less of like an A-frame and more of this giant shore pound because they're losing sand. So they built a jetty at the north end of the beach, so where you paddle out, and so the sand as it comes around like gets caught there basically and doesn't replenish the beach. And then the building, like it's been kind of willy-nilly building, versus all the time you've been there. It's like there's just stuff on the beach now.
Right.
And so that also restricts some of the sand flow and causes other issues. So it's really about like, hey, let's figure out how to maintain this wave, which is like why everybody's down there and why the economy is doing well. And so I think that's kind of like trying to work with all the locals on like
To bring it back to what it was?
Yeah, just try to like liberate that sand. Like the fishermen, maybe they can have something that's not so egregious. And
We need help with our sand here too.
Well, but I mean, it's kind of what they're doing is kind of what happened with the harbor, right? Kind of the same thing as they built. So did they extend the natural little rock
Yeah, they built like
built off of that?
a little jetty
Right.
out from there. You can see it if you look in Google Earth, and so it's just like like the harbor here.
Right.
Over time, it's like it caught all that sand, right? Because like the river mouth was one of the first surf spots outside of Hawaii that was ever surfed, right? And it was a little A-frame kind of weird finger like the lane, and then once you put the jetty there, just that Castle Beach like stacked up and stacked up and stacked up with sand. It used to look kind of like West Cliff or East Cliff, and so instead of just sort of peeling off of there, it's just sort of choked with sand, and now it takes like that.
That beach was here at Pleasure Point back then, which is no longer a beach anymore. We have a seawall.
Yeah, and you lost the sand. So it kind of like when you do one thing on the coast, it kind of like there's sort of a downstream effect. Like this happens down here, and you just kind of keep like just chasing to try to figure it out. And that's actually
Capitola got a jetty.
Capitola got a jetty too.
Well, but the one at Castle Beach at Seabright, didn't used to be 100 yards long. The waves used to crash up there on the rocks by the house where the houses were. Now that thing is 100 yards long.
Yeah, it's like bigger. It's like 300. Yeah, it's huge.
Right.
I was out there the other day. I was like, oh my god.
So it sounds like the local surf guys are kind of into it. Greg Long approached you to maybe get involved. You're involved. How is the local government's position on this? Are they into it?
Yeah, I think they just don't really get it, and so it's not like I don't think it's like a major like we're gonna take these guys on and defeat them necessarily. It's like, hey, look, the whole thing that's paying your gig is you're jeopardizing it. Like, let's figure out a way to make that work. And then as you building, like, it's not just keep building. People keep coming. It's like you keep building to a certain point, and people are gonna be like, this is completely, the waves destroyed, the place isn't beautiful,
tourism.
The tourism's starting to decline, and so you want to manage it a little bit. And so I think that's the idea. It's like try to
Save the waves. I mean, it's all done by donation, correct?
yeah.
So, the work that you do is all comes under public scrutiny and public's help.
Yeah. I mean,
Or is
if you want to go see where all the money goes, you can go on check out our what's called 990, see what donations we get. But yeah, we get we actually have money from the state of California this year, which is kind of amazing. So the state granted us money to look at like how, specifically in Santa Cruz, how vulnerable are our surf spots to climate change? Like what's going to happen as climate changes, and what are they worth economically? So like if we're gonna lose this place, and we could lose this place if we do a bunch of funky stuff. What does that mean for the economy here in Santa Cruz?
Has that study ever been done? Because I've asked that question to our local politicians. What percentage of money that flows into this town is surf related? And they never have an answer.
We're going to figure that. We're working on that right now. So part of it is like how much do people spend that are visiting? How many jobs does it create? So what's the how many surf schools and surf shops and ding repair and all that?
If the wave stopped, all of a sudden the wave stopped. People would stop coming.
Oh yeah, I mean
a big majority.
Right.
I'm trying to even like wrap my head around that.
If you had no waves
if you
in
had
Santa
no
Cruz,
waves, what would they? Okay, they would be mountain biking,
there'd be mountain biking,
hiking.
Hacky sacks.
Everybody, dude, you'd go to the skate park.
Yeah.
What's that? What's with the bags?
Cornhole.
Cornhole.
500 people.
Hey guys, like, this is my ramp.
I'm playing smash ball here.
Never seen you at this ramp, bro.
Well, when I brought that up, my thought is that families come here. They don't go to the boardwalk every week. A family, but a family can come here and surf every week. And spend money and come in here and buy a T-shirt and go across the street and get a sandwich. The returning tourism that surfing is. That's what I call it that.
Right. And it's off. It's like different times of surf. Like today, like everything fired up, right? And so it's like, there's waves and there's people like I was talking to Fran over at Steamers Plant. I was like, how much, like, when you get a swell like this, like how much, can you tell what's the percentage of like increase in sales? Which is like, it just gets way crazier.
Well, I have friends in the surf industry. Currently it's tanking. Yeah. Because there haven't had waves. It's been
interesting.
It's been a terrible summer of surfing.
And last winter.
And last winter sucked too. The surf shops and the surf industry is feeling it.
Interesting.
And there's 100 people out there when it's flat, but they're not breaking leashes. They're not, they're basically sitting on a bench in the ocean.
We also wanted to figure out like, so like Cowell's kind of had a sandbar this year, and I don't know how to figure this part out. I don't think it's really part of our study, but like how many more people learned to surf, you know, for better or for worse, that year because there was sand in an approachable place. Mm-hmm. And then how much did that drive, whether it was sand and not sand, at Cowell's to see the difference?
Right.
Because you probably there was whatever it was like 3 years ago, there was that huge sandbar and everybody was down there.
It was a massive beach.
Yeah, and you were just like, people would just go and just like hang out for the day. You just like, we're going to have, like, kids were all, you know, surfing these little microwaves. Everybody could go out there and hang out. The whole west side was down there.
I don't get that the sand.
A little beach.
Because as an example, 26th Avenue this year had no sand. Like, zero sand.
Right.
There is no sand there now.
No sand.
And it's the end of summer. We should have a massive beach. When I was a kid,
that's gnarly.
that was the beach.
Yeah.
There's no beach there. And the sand is such a, I don't know who studies it and who has the information for that. Are you working on that?
Garrett Griggs.
Okay.
Yeah, he knows like where, more or less when it comes, when it goes. It tracks El Nino pretty well. When the creeks like up north sort of they pump out a lot of sand, so a lot of rains pump down.
But it
and
rained
then there's
this year.
and then there's like these scour events. So how much the direction of swell, I guess, is important. So if it's like a wrapping, more northwestern pattern, it'll like pull the sand sort of down there.
Right.
But you get these like west-southwest ones, and they're kind of like facing perpendicular to
Right.
to 2-6. So they're coming here and pulling, coming here, pulling, right? So I'm like prognosticating. I don't know, but just
and sea level rise is, you can't ignore that. That is real. Like, that is.
Too bad everybody didn't think that way.
You get like, well, you get
Well, we've seen it. We've grown up here, and it's like, the water is now up to here on,
On a
medium tide.
Right. There's no
On a
you
medium
can't
tide, there's a lot of water around.
Right.
Exactly.
Right.
It used to be only like at high tide you couldn't like stand at Pleasure Point.
Right.
You know, like nowadays it's medium tide. It's a little dicey moving around.
Yeah.
Can I say the waves? Looking locally, have you guys checked the lane and see what's going on with the lane? Because in a conversation I had with a certain shaper here in town, I'm not mentioning names, but he said the lane's in trouble. And should you be looking more locally here rather than Port Escondido or other?
No. I mean, I think it's all connected. That's kind of what was I talking to earlier? Yeah, I was just like, we have this funny existence where we do a lot of stuff locally, but it's all relevant to sharing these lessons because they're going to deal with the same stuff, right? Like we're talking about the same stuff, basically. And so we've been working a lot on kind of Westcliff and how to inform the bigger vision of that. Tyler and our whole crew.
Yeah, I can just say yesterday we did, as far as what they're doing, they organized, Sean Burns and Nick, and they organized this paddle down Westcliff where we started at Mitchell's, and we paddled down, and beautiful day, and really took a hard look at all the destruction of Westcliff, looked at the caves and looked at how far back they go, and I mean, there's caves like as deep as this whole store, 50, 60 foot caves that are going back like underneath, the road. It's like
They just got
the road going to collapse.
Just
like,
got discovered, right? They were just recently discovered.
It's gotten worse.
Yeah.
I mean, way worse. And the whole thing along there, when you see it from that vantage point of the water, it really gives you a sense of how gnarly it is. And these guys are doing something about it.
Okay.
So.
And that crack at the slot.
The crack.
Well, the
crack at the lane.
I mean, that's been.
Cracks.
I mean, it's like things are moving around there.
Are you talking about the chunk that fell off?
I'm talking about the new. Well, the chunk fell off, and there's a new crack.
There's a big crack
that's running like a big, like 12 feet of thickness of just. If that goes, that's going to change.
That'll change.
That'll change the lane.
Because that rock won't wash away overnight.
No.
Well, I also thought that the one that, I mean, you guys probably saw the Surfline clip, right?
Yeah, the chunk,
right? And it's like this Volkswagen-sized
Insane.
chunk, like falls off while people are surfing, and everybody's like watching, and then like scattering away, and it's like pretty scary. And then thinking like, okay, well that'll just get pummeled by swell, and by like a couple months it's gonna be gone. That thing's still like, it's like weird shape, it's sharp, it's kind of sketchy. And
there's been a few rocks that have fallen off at Rockview, broken off, and it's like 10 years before they're smooth.
Even
right.
Right.
And obviously that's going to keep happening.
Yeah.
Are there other save the waves around the world, like or organizations similar to what you're doing?
Yeah, I mean, I think we try to partner as much as possible. So, like, there's very few things that we do by ourselves. You know, like we just had this big coalition summit up in Pescadero. We brought like 100+ people from 15 different countries, and they're all partners. Tyler's there, and it was pretty neat just to be like, wow, we don't do anything alone. Like, we're always partnering with somebody. So there's cool little, there's smaller type of organizations, a lot like in Chile and Peru and places like that kind of like, there's big surf communities, and so they want to protect their waves. And so it's like, why are we going to come and reinvent the wheel when there's people who want to do it and they're talented, and like, let's work together. And so we try to do that as much as possible. And it was pretty interesting. I mean, we're celebrating our 20th anniversary. I think that's what Neil were talking about this first, was like why we're doing this. So yeah, I mean, it got started with like one guy's vision of, how to protect waves and not lose these epic places in Madeira, which is a little island off of Portugal with epic big waves. And then it kind of like grew because there was that demand from local partners to be like, we need help too. Can you be a partner to us? So that's why we always had that funny coalition name part of the name. It's like we left it there on purpose because like we always work together with other groups, and that's kind of the special sauce.
The more the merrier, right?
Yeah, I mean, you need we're not going to be able to do it all alone.
Right. Or will they take you? I mean, like I could see in Mexico, it's like, oh, the gringos are back.
Yeah,
like you got to have some of the locals involved.
And that's, I think, what's cool about this work for me is like going to Mexico, and like we have this great contact, this guy Uriel, who's like, he's like, I need help. I want to save this place that means everything to me and my family. How could I get help? And then we're like, cool, let's figure it out together. We're here to help you, but we're not like, the gringos march in, we're like, we're going to save your wave, get out of the way. Like,
right, yeah.
People are like, fuck you, what are you doing here?
Right, right. I get it. Yeah.
And so that's kind of, and he's like stoked. He's like, I feel like I'm supported, and I got this purpose now that's much bigger than me. It's thinking for my family and the next generation, like this place that I care about. And he's like, and it's gnarly. Like he's going to get into some, I don't, like, it can get gnarly in Mexico. And he's like, I got to do what's right. I'm standing up for my place. I'm like, if you're standing up, like I'm behind you, brother. It's like,
well, feathering your cap for San Miguel, because that is such a jewel. It's a rincon of Baja, and imagine the uproar if they decided to put a harbor at Rincon, and so to save San Miguel for like generations of future surfers is amazing to me. I'm very proud of that. And just so I just wanted to circle fully back on you, Nik, because I met you. You were trying to build a skate park in Uganda.
Yeah. We've had all kinds of crazy cockamamie ideas. Yeah, but you were like, oh, let's get.
Yeah, well, let's do it, and we did.
We did. Those guys are so hooked up with Santa Cruz now. Yeah. They're like sponsored by Santa Cruz. I think they're sending people to the Olympics and shit.
Wow.
The skate parks went from like this little thing to like they have a full bowl. And like everything they said they were gonna do happened. And I'm like, yeah.
You went to Uganda. You found the broken mini ramp after the flood, right?
Yeah.
And you came back, and we raised some awareness and some funds, and then you went back and fixed it.
I mean, they fixed it. Yeah. I just helped.
But was it John? Jack.
Yeah.
Jack was the kingpin.
Yeah, he was the kingpin.
Yeah, and I've actually seen, because I know that the Titus in Europe, and there's some people that are really involved.
They're backing him now.
Yeah, they're backing him. And I've looked on YouTube, and they do have a skate park now, and they're doing 540s and stuff now.
Oh, they're like...
they're ripping now. It's insane.
Skateboarding is super big in Africa, which is kind of a crazy thing. So, it's all comes full... It's like you just...
Cool.
You just try to, like, whatever, help out along the way and meet cool people and help them do what they want to do, and they're doing cool stuff. And, I mean, that's what you do. You find... You help all kinds of stuff. You help all kinds of kids.
Well, it's just rad. You've been consistent, and that's what I applaud you for.
Yeah.
I'm sure you're educated, you're smart. There's other things you can do that could financially put you in further places. But I just feel
I might have all the hubcaps on my van. If that were the case.
But I mean, the people who are watching right now, just be fortunate that there's people like Nik,
right? That
like you're actually really trying to change things. And if everybody just did a little bit, this world would be so different. And so I applaud that, and congratulations.
No, thank you. I think sometimes I just sort of march in front of the parade and get people excited, and at the end I run around, I clean up after the elements, but really it's the people in the parade that make it cool,
Right.
And I think to tie it back to what they're doing, why I think it's cool is like we're kind of on the this is when it doesn't go so good side. Let's clean it up. So take care of plastic issues and water quality issues and climate, and they're kind of on the let's prevent that from happening by making better products. And so I think also what they're doing to be thoughtful, and I've been thinking a lot from the trips in Mexico and stuff, and I was thinking about it this term to bring it back full circle. It's if I could go and sort of go down there, print the board that I want, write it, and then put it back into the thing and have it get redesigned. That's such a cool idea, because I was what board? I don't know what, I got a board down there. It's kind of broken. Why did I leave it there?
Yeah.
So I think I was thinking a lot about your guys' model, and you should educate all those people.
We're going to find out about it right
what
now.
that is.
Yeah.
But I think if you can, there's ways to really meet a demand of sustainable surfboards for the board that you want for that time.
Right.
And then not have it just we'll just leave it down in Mexico, or break it and throw it in the garbage, And so I think that's you guys are doing something so cool and so innovative. And I think honestly the surf industry needs a bit of a kick in the ass too. Shapers are great because they're making cool stuff, right? But there's a bunch of crappy surfboards out there. They don't work so good. So
and we'll talk about the shapers.
Yeah.
And how we
and
want
they
to
all
work with them.
work together. Right?
Thanks, Nick, for coming on the show.
Yeah.
Nick, good
Yeah.
job.
Thank you guys.
Thank you.
So,
Yeah.
two things about Nick before he goes.
Oh, God.
We've wrecked his name a bunch of times.
Yes.
But tonight we get it right because we're sober. Nik
Yes.
Strong-Cvetich.
Cvetich.
Love it.
But
Yeah.
his moniker and his part in the Off the Lip radio show, his big moment, is he brought the shittiest beer we've ever had.
I almost did it again.
What was the shitty beer?
What was it
It
called?
made you stop drinking.
We're on the wagon ever
The
since.
Rainier, man, that was my
Rainier.
The Rainier beer was
He goes, Neil, I'll bring the beers, Neil. I'm like, great. And then we taste them like,
Hey,
He's from the Pacific Northwest.
the Rainier beer. So that beer was generally it's bad. It's an acquired taste, and when it gets really warm, which apparently I guess that had been for a while,
it was not good.
It doesn't get better.
right.
So I got these. I almost did it again.
Yeah.
On purpose.
He has a 12-year-old
I
Rainier.
have these old. I have these.
Yeah, they're in
these
the
Kona beers. We have this Kona as our beer sponsor. Great beer sponsor. But they gave us for this event that we had. We ended up, somebody ordered 95 cases, which is a lot of
That's a lot of beer.
And then we walked, and we had 45 cases after the event to take home, which is basically
A truckload.
you know how much it is. It's like an entire truck.
Yeah.
And so I have half of a truck in my basement with this beer, and then
Think
some
you
of it
Is
was
out in
put
the
out.
sun?
It's been out in the sun. It's out in the garden. It's just been sitting there. It's faded.
garden.
Yeah, it's faded.
Yeah, so anybody
So I was
listening,
gonna bring you the faded garden beer.
Hey, we picked a great week to be on
if
the
anybody's out there,
You guys are
and
doing
you
a great
invite
job.
Nik Strong-Cvetich to your show, program, whatever, do not have him bring beer.
I will not be invited. It's good that you guys stopped drinking.
So just look in the cooler and pass on the faded label.
Yeah,
It's a trick.
yeah.
Thanks, Nick.
Thank you guys for having me.
Hey, by the way, give us your this information.
All kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
You go to savethewaves.org. Check out what we're doing all
Yeah.
over. You can follow us on social. So save app, the little app that you use. Save the Waves Coalition, right there. And we'll have a couple things. We'll be out at the contest, the lane coming back again. Cold Water Classic. So we're always
Good.
kind of involved in that.
You'll be there. Someone can come and talk to you.
I'll be in and out. Our team will be there, and
Cool.
yeah, we're check us, follow us out. We're doing things around the world. We'll be in Portugal next week. These guys might be in Portugal too, so hopefully
Awesome.
Let us
Global Waves Conference.
Global Wave Conference.
I love
Yeah,
it.
it's collaboration with Surf
You
Rider.
get that call, TC, to come to a local
No,
live
yeah,
show.
yeah,
Live show. From the,
You guys want to go to Portugal? There's going to be all the Nazare people are talking about Nazare.
see.
Terrible wave.
Yeah.
Frightening.
Beach break though.
Yeah, you can.
I have no part of that.
No, you don't. It looks awful.
Well, I've heard the best thing about Nazare is that you do get washed up on the beach, whether you're alive or not.
Yeah.
Eventually, you will wash up on the beach.
Yeah. No
I
thanks.
can't imagine anything worse.
No.
Well, it's always we'll kick you out in a second, but it always amazes me the photos when it's giant and people are like standing on the cliff.
Yeah.
And it's they're on a cliff,
Right.
and the waves just towering above the cliff. You know, it's just insane.
Insane.
It's a weird, freaky place. I want to make sure these guys tell their story, but it does like break in one place and make those big teepee, and then it breaks like 2,000 yards over here to the next one. It's like, how could you possibly be in the right spot? All I see is wrong spot.
It sounds like Corvo Escondido.
Yeah.
You kick out of the wave and your heart sinks.
You're like, oh, but how could it be that far away?
Yeah, that's nice.
So,
All right, well, thanks again, Nick.
Thanks,
thank you
buddy.
guys for having us. I'm glad this show continues on to rock. And,
Thank you.
Awesome one too.
I'm not sure that door's
that's
open.
it.
Is that door open?
It is
Don't let it hit me on
Yeah.
the way out.
See you, buddy.
See you later, Nick.
Thank you guys.
All right, well, that is Save the Waves, everybody, and Nick's doing a great job. Thanks, Nick, again. Have a great night.
Yeah, Swellcycle.
He's getting the kid.
Thank you.
Yeah.
This is Nick
Yeah.
leaving.
I got to put the kids to bed, otherwise I'd come and have more Guinnesses with you all.
Thank you for not bringing the reindeer beer.
I won't anymore.
Later, Nick.
See you guys. See you.
Okay, so as I said earlier in the show, Neil and I don't know what you two are doing.
Okay.
Patricio and Tyler from Swellcycle. You guys are a surfboard business, and
That's right.
I know that it's a recyclable surfboard, correct?
It's in our name.
But,
Yes.
tell us what you do.
Yeah.
Tell us about the whole thing.
What do I do?
Yeah, no, the whole thing. Tell us the story of when you started.
From the beginning?
Yeah.
So I was born in Mexico.
Yeah.
No.
Oh, he was.
So, yeah, I was born in Mexico, lived in LA for a little bit, and around the pandemic, I was trying to find a location where I could live that had some of my values, such as art and surfing. And so I chose Santa Cruz.
Excellent.
And here, I ended up leaving a job at Disney to start the surfboard company, Swellcycle.
What'd you do at Disney?
I built robots.
You built robots.
Yeah.
Okay, so
That's cool.
Yeah.
What type of robots? Like who?
Can't really talk about that.
Oh, you can't.
Hush, hush.
was it one of the stars?
Yes.
Okay.
It was robotics, general
Big
robotics.
Mickey.
For,
Mickey.
for movies or for the parks?
For the parks.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Awesome. Well, we don't have to
So-
get too deep into that. So you've been in Santa Cruz now, what, 4 years?
Yes.
Okay.
That's right. And yeah, Swellcycle. I've always loved the environment, and you know, in the past when I was in high school, I converted a VW Bug to run on electricity
Yeah.
as part of a sustainability project.
It's okay.
We have some
Kicking people out.
guests. We're not just kicking Nick out.
No, we kick him out. We kick everybody out.
Yeah, you'll kick me out.
No,
eventually.
you're good.
But yeah, I've always loved the environment, and Swellcycle is another extension of that passion to kind of do something about all of the climate issues that we're seeing and the pollution, specifically in the surfboard industry. So, yeah.
And you know, but the pollution in the surfboard industry has been prevalent for how many years?
Since
Since
they
they
stopped making them out of wood,
Right.
you know, pretty much as soon as
Exactly.
they figured out that petroleum products could be involved, it pretty much messed up everything.
Around like 70 years ago.
Right.
So we've been making the surfboards the same for 70 years in terms of fiberglass and resin and foam.
Right.
And at Swellcycle, right now we're focusing on switching out that foam component, the core, and instead using a recyclable material such as PETG, PLA, or nylon, to name a few.
Light.
We're getting there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Sometimes weight can be a good thing, though.
Absolutely. I just got a new surfboard.
Wow, hold it.
Yeah, but it's kind of heavy.
How?
It's a Channel Islands.
Oh.
Yeah, it's a
that's-
7-footer, and it's cool. So I get it. Yeah. where can people see surfboards? Are you riding those right now, T Fox?
Yeah, I've been writing them and doing a lot of the R&D for a number of months now, and just to kind of go back on how I joined Patricio, is he did a post on Instagram saying, "Hey, I've got these 3D printed boards. Does anyone want to try them?" And I'm always loving.
I think I saw a video of you, the first video, maybe 6 months ago, of you trying the board.
Right.
And maybe I'm wrong, but
Yeah.
it didn't seem like you were 100% sold on it.
Right.
I think you noticed some things like, hey,
Yeah.
it's this.
Right.
It's
No, I was
that.
honest. Right.
Yeah.
Right. I was honest. The feedback but another thing is that my mindset going into it was this board's going to work like shit. Excuse my language, but it 3D printed. It's like how good could it ride? And I picked it up, and it was a little heavy, but I took it out at Rockview on a 2-foot day, and there's hardly anyone out, and I got up on a few waves, and I immediately felt speed, and I felt this flex because they don't have stringers, wooden stringers, that I've never felt in a surfboard before. It was like this like you press on the tail, and you get this projection of speed, which was really neat.
Immediately.
No? Yeah, I mean, it was slightly delayed.
Yeah.
It wasn't immediately because there is the flex in the board.
Okay.
If the stiffer the board, the more immediate you're going to feel. But the more flex, the ever so slight of a delay you're going to feel, but you get used to that. So you press you press down on the tail, and you're feeling like it's almost loading up. It's like that pressure underneath, and then it kind of like squirts you off. Like I'm making it around sections, and so I
Like
come
a
in,
spring.
kind of like a spring. And so I come in, and I'm like, wow, like this board didn't suck. Like this is cool, and it's 3D printed. And then I go and visit his factory, and I see all the these boards are printed out of recycled hospital trays. They're taking old hospital trays and turning them into surfboards, and and I met his other partners, Paul and Nathan, and just the whole team is awesome. And I'm like, God, I want to be a part of this
Factory.
Yeah.
I think of something big like the boardroom here.
Yeah.
Is it?
Someday we'll have something nice and big like this.
All
but-
good things start in a garage.
Right.
Yes, exactly.
When you were talking about the flexible tail,
Yeah.
there was a designer out of Hawaii, Tinkler. He did the Tinkler tail.
Okay.
That was a flexible tail, and I actually had one of those boards, and it worked better for sailboards than surfboards. But he actually designed a tail that flexed.
Interesting.
And
That's super cool.
and what you were talking about,
Yeah.
it brought back to me
Yeah.
how that board rode.
Right.
By having that, and it did.
Right.
You were able to like load it up,
Right.
and almost spring like
Yeah.
a pole vaulter almost.
Yeah,
Like it kind
exactly.
of had that feeling.
Right.
But it was expensive.
Yeah.
It was you actually, I believe you cut it into the tail, and so it was like an addition to a surfboard. And
Interesting.
but I do get when you were describing that
Yeah.
feeling, it kind of came back to me
Yeah.
of how that board worked.
Right.
He mentioned hospital trays, right? To help take the surfboard, or to use to make the surfboard. What other 4 or 5 things do you use? You like to get your hands on to make these boards?
Yeah, so right now we're working with some suppliers from the Netherlands, actually, because they have a great recycling program, and they are the ones that are doing the grinding down of these trays or plastic water bottles, the same material, PETG.
PT, what is it called?
PETG.
Okay.
I don't know the long name,
Okay.
but I can remember the short name. And
Plastic.
Yeah.
Right.
Exactly. And then they turn those granules into filament, 3D printed filament that we can use in our machines.
And
And it comes on like a spool.
it's like fishing line almost.
Thin
Yeah, really
fishing line.
thick
Yeah.
fishing line.
Gotcha.
Exactly.
And how did you? I mean, I know you have a background sort of in robotics. How did that come about? Where did we woke up one day and you're like, I'm going to 3D print surfboards?
Yeah, I mean, I've always had a passion for surfing. I'm not a very good surfer by any means of stretch of the imagination, but I love getting in the water, and I love being near the ocean, and I love the feeling you get when you catch a wave. And I just wanted to find a combination between robotics and automation, mechanical engineering, and surfing.
Are you wanting to get this material that you get from the Netherlands? Are you wanting to be able to get it to other shapers here, like for example, Santa Cruz? Are you want Doug Howard, Bob Pearson, or Peter, John Mellor? Do you want them to use this material? And
Absolutely.
do you think they will use it, or are they've been so stuck in their ways, as it were? They've been using the same thing for like Bob Pearson, right? How long have you been making surfboards for? 30 years,
50 years or something.
Something long time.
Yeah.
Do you think you can get someone like that to change and go with the material that you're producing?
Yeah, I think Bob is thinking ahead for sure. And
Bob is a forward thinker.
I just
yeah,
picked
he
up a
is.
board
Yeah.
from him this morning.
Yeah.
And he also has one of our boards right now that he's helping out glassing, and we're working with other people in town.
Yeah.
And I'm speaking with different shapers in town, and we want to give shapers the another option besides the toxic foam.
Right.
That they can, they're not shaping this, obviously, but we want to give them an option to be able to have their shape in a different material, and they would get a royalty from it.
we're still figuring out
We're
the
figuring
details.
out the details, but we want to make like shapers. I've worked with dozens of shapers over the years, and these guys are the hardest workers, right? And craftsmen, and we want to just give them another way. Like there's only one shaper, right? So like if they have a wait list of 8 months to get a board, why not get that model of their board in our technology in 2 months?
Well, and if you're 3D printing it, you're not making a big cement mold.
No,
you're
there's
you
way
know what I mean? Like
way less waste.
it's way easier because in the old Clark foam days,
Yeah.
if you were going to get a model of a blank, it was a huge investment,
Right.
And
Right.
and you had to sell a whole bunch of blanks for the return. This you're individually printing. So a shaper like Bob Pearson can call you and say, "I need 6 density of the blank."
Mm-hmm.
It sounds to me if the blank's denser, we can glass it lighter.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
so because the strength of a board a lot of time is the core.
Right. Exactly. So there's a lot of things that we're playing around now with our prototyping, and that's one of them.
Yeah.
It's like how light can we go in the glassing to use less resin,
Right.
and less fiberglass.
And with Clark foam, that's not sorry to interrupt again, but the Clark foam, when he blew the blanks, the skin was denser, softer in the middle.
Right.
Can you 3D print that way? Can you have the outside be stronger and the inside be softer?
I mean,
Sky's the limit, right?
sky's the limit.
It's
Your
great,
imagination
yeah.
is the limit.
That engineering will come.
Exactly.
But you figured out the
Right.
technology of recycling.
Right.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah,
Wow.
because you're basically laying down layer by layer each section. So 3D printing presents a whole new way of making a part that you never had access to before. Now you can kind of design the inside of a part. Before you were kind of limited to the material. It would be a solid block. Now you can kind of change the lattice inside, and that
Right.
lattice.
Back to what we're talking
Did
about.
you see
Exactly.
something like Joby Aviation?
Yeah, Joby has some crazy stuff going on down there. We went to Joby last month.
Oh, you
But
did.
they
Yeah,
the
got a
3D,
full tour.
the 3D printing.
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah, they're 3D printing. Yeah,
We
Oh,
would
yeah.
love to get a tour at Joby.
Oh yeah, and it's an amazing facility, and I give those now that we again similar to what you guys did. We didn't know what was going on at
Yeah,
Joby,
yeah.
and we walked out of there,
Like, holy smoke.
mind,
Yeah.
Right.
like
Possibility.
they're gonna take over the world with this thing.
Yeah,
Totally.
Yeah.
I think about with your brand, what's going out in the middle of the ocean. There's basically an island of plastic out there.
Right.
How awesome would it be to get that
We want
into
to.
your surfboards?
Yeah.
Because
We
they're
want it.
sending ships out there.
Yeah, and we
And
can.
they're collecting it.
Yeah.
And that's the thing is that, right now we need a pretty consistent material.
Got it.
Right? It can't be a mishmash of all these
Fishing
different
nets,
types,
right.
and that's not going to create a consistent product. But there's sorting ways to sort the bottle caps, right, which are one consistent type of plastic, out of all that, and so there's ways to do it. So yeah, we could be printing boards out of trash coming out of the ocean in the future.
That's cool.
Is that the hardest part? Is gathering the plastic to make the boards? Is that
gathering consistent plastic.
Consistent plastic.
Because if you start melting down like a bunch of different plastics, like polypropylene and ABS and all this other stuff, they all have different melting temperatures.
Okay.
Some will burn if you
Yeah.
try to melt them at a higher temperature.
Okay.
And so you'll get all of these like impurities and nasty stuff that will get stuck.
Right.
So the important thing is to be consistent
Right.
with your material.
Do you surf today?
Yeah.
Did you use that board?
No, we.
He uses Nik Pearson.
I used a Bob Pearson gun.
Yeah.
Which went well.
But
So yeah, we don't have.
Have you
yeah.
felt a difference since that first video that you made where you
Yeah.
were just
Oh
trying
yeah.
for the first
No,
time?
we're improving tremendously,
Yeah.
and things are getting close. And the goal is actually to print this year a 3D printed Mavericks gun and write it out there. So,
Wow.
yeah,
Well, that goes back to hold everything.
Yeah.
A little weight at Mavs is good.
that's fine.
You know,
Yeah,
like, and so
yeah.
there are,
Right,
like you're saying.
Right.
My favorite longboard ever was this molded Santa Cruz board that weighed 20 pounds.
Right.
And it was a 10-footer, 20 pounds. That's heavy for a longboard.
For sure.
Yeah.
But it would glide like no
The
tomorrow.
inertia.
Yes,
Yeah.
right. It would mean literally it was you could paddle it with, once it got going,
Yeah.
to keep the momentum, it was
Yeah.
like fingers. So I get it.
Yeah.
I guess, my point being is your technology right now is suited for some things better than others when it comes to
Right.
surfboards,
Yeah, right.
until you're talking about. I get it. I'm with a surfboard building background. I could see you printing like pillars inside this blank.
You could do that.
You know what I mean? And creating flex patterns
Yep.
through different things.
Yep.
And
Yep.
evolution of this,
Yep.
to me, is very exciting. I
Yeah.
think it's really
Right.
cool.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I understand
Yeah.
now why you're
Yeah.
excited about
Yeah.
it.
So,
And
so
PETG is a very dense plastic when you compare it to like PLA, So we can go into other different types of materials, but we really like PETG because of like the source where we're getting it from.
Right.
is the cost a lot greater than a regular surfboard to get your surfboard?
It's a little bit higher,
Okay.
about the same,
Okay.
not too much, because it has the story element and the recycling element, and we've only been around for 6 months.
Right.
So we have to pay off some costs.
Got it.
And volume reduces cost.
Exactly.
So as time goes on, and I'm sure sourcing connections with sourcing of recycled material.
Yeah,
Everything
actually,
else.
working outside of our garage is very expensive. But once we have more printers and a bigger space, yeah, the cost.
The
will-
factory.
Exactly,
Yeah.
something like this.
Yeah.
They're full of printers.
As like you mentioned, like I know I was the first FCS rep in Santa Cruz County. I had to go to every shaper and show them a removable fin system, and some were like, "Get the hell out of my shaping room,"
I know it's new.
and some were like, "I'm interested." Bob Pearson was one of them.
Right.
Word Coffee. Like there was a few people
Yeah.
that were visionaries.
Yeah.
As you've gone around talking about
Yeah.
this, is there somebody in town that is that visionary? That's like, let's do something. Have you gotten one? Are we to that point yet?
Yeah. No, I think we're not. I've spoken with a handful of shapers, and I think they're all open to listening and learning more. But rightfully so. They're like, well, how's the board work?
Right.
And so that's what we're trying to really fine tune. And I think as a team, we don't feel comfortable saying, oh yeah, we want to print something under your label if it doesn't work as
Right.
well. Right.
No,
we
exactly.
want to make sure that it's been tested through and through, and that these boards perform just as good as a normal board or even better before we really start saying, hey, let's work together. So,
Well, I know you, Tyler. The day you
Yeah.
start riding it every day
Yeah.
will be the day that I'm like, it's ready to go.
yeah, I know.
I mean, because you got a team rider and a partner,
Yeah.
and so
Yeah.
which is
Amazing.
and
Working
so
with Tyler has been a dream.
no, it's a great fit for both of you. I'm excited to see the future.
Thanks.
Not
because-
only because he's a good surfer, but also because of his sustainability outlook.
for sure.
Yeah.
You know,
And-
when we're making decisions
He's
and
your
stuff
guy.
like that, he's always keeping me on in check, which
Right.
is really valuable.
He's not faking that he wants to have this be successful and care about the environment. I know Tyler, he's that guy.
So,
Totally.
so I get a board.
Real
Go ahead,
quick,
go ahead.
real quick. Oh, I don't think we talked about with one element that excites me probably the most is the fact that these boards, we want to, at the end of their life cycle, right? If a board breaks, we want to take it back from a customer, grind it back down, grind it back down, and turn it into filament that goes into printing either a new board or new materials, floor tiles, or whatever. It turns into something else.
Right.
Because foam boards right now with fiberglass on them,
Landfill.
they go to the landfill.
Right.
They sit in backyards.
So there's an end game.
There's an end game.
Right.
There's a full circle end game with this, which I think is needed. You know?
Well, of course.
Cycle.
Yeah,
It's
no,
the cycle.
yeah, exactly.
So-
Because I get a board, and like me, it gets dinged, right? My Bob Pearson board, God bless them, I love them, but you look at it, it dings. The boards that you have, are they strong? Can I get them fixed if there's a ding in them? Or what?
Yeah, you can totally fix them like a normal board.
Okay.
Small dings. If it's a bigger ding, then we're developing a process where you just 3D print that section and just slide it right in and glass over it
Wow.
as if it was a small ding. And yeah, we actually were testing these smaller coupons and dropping hammers on them. And we noticed a few things. They don't pressure ding, so there's no divots or anything like that, which is really cool.
Right.
You know, if it does break, there's a way to fix the columns and things like that. But yeah, it's really nice to not have any pressure dings.
Well, pressure dings equal higher resale when you don't have pressure dings.
Right.
You know what I mean? Yeah.
Right.
You know what I mean? Yeah. So when you don't have a board
Yeah.
that has a bunch of knee dings and elbow dings and chin dings in it,
Right.
that looks pretty on when you get to
Right.
the resale
Oh,
part
yeah.
of its life.
Oh, right,
and
right,
when
right.
we all know that eventually,
Yeah.
you know, it's
And
boards
gotta
get-
move on.
big
Yeah.
pressure dings turn into DLAM.
Exactly. Right. Yeah. So that's kind of interesting. Now, can you use polyester and epoxy resin on that material, or is there a specific?
Yeah,
You can use.
we're using Entropy. We try and keep as much of our products as eco-friendly as possible. So
Right.
the Entropy resin, we're looking into different types of cloth, flax, all these different types of materials. But yeah, so we can use a wide assortment.
So you're not married to one
No.
glassing technique to this material. Pretty much, you can wrap it any conventional way surfboards are built currently.
That's right.
Wow.
Yeah, we're just replacing the foam inside.
Exactly.
So,
Yeah.
most material you get from the Netherlands or Holland, right? Is it nowhere closer than that? I mean, Holland's a pretty small country. Nowhere in the United States you can gather this plastic from?
Surprisingly, we did find a supplier, one supplier
Yeah,
in the
just
United
one?
States that does recycled materials.
Yeah.
But yeah, most of them are in the Netherlands.
Wow.
It's
So
sad.
a bit of a lesson to be learned for America, I guess, right? That our
Yeah.
recycling is not
Oh.
up to snuff.
And
No.
I've been looking, I want to
it's
find
not.
something close because
Yeah.
we're all about
Cost.
local,
Right.
supporting our community. And I would have loved to find one in the Bay Area, but
Yeah.
unfortunately, it's just not available.
I will say there's an opportunity for someone out
Yeah,
there
no, I-
to do this.
Right, yeah.
And there's a company called Precious Plastics. It's a global company that they set up workshops and hubs where they sell grinding machines, different filament machines. They have workshops, and it's all around turning old plastics into new and useful products. So look up Precious Plastics because they're doing some awesome stuff.
Have you talked to guys at Cruise Foam at all as far as using what they...
Yeah. So it's funny. It's ironic. They wanted to do surfboards originally,
Right.
and they're like packaging is way bigger of a
Way big,
market,
yeah.
and so it's like, maybe, because shapers are still going to want to shape out of foam, right? It's the art of it. Maybe they could use a cruise foam, which is made out of shrimp shells, right? Shape your board out of foam. It gets scanned. We print it, and then that old foam blank gets dissolved and goes into your garden.
Right.
So they shape it, you replicate it.
Super.
When that blank comes out of the 3D printer, do we have to sand it? Do we have to do anything else to it, or is it smooth and ready to be glassed.
Yeah, right now you just have to clean it up.
Just rough it up a little bit.
Yeah, not a major sanding because you don't want to like go too deep. Yeah, and then you just glass.
It's pretty close.
It's pretty close.
Yeah, it comes out as like it's pretty cool.
Wow.
I mean, you have all the channels. We can do channels. You know, all the contours on the bottom. The rails come out nice.
Because even the shaping machine, when it comes off, there's quite a bit of work to finish the board.
Yeah.
And time is money for surfboard building.
Exactly.
You know, so if your product's a little bit more money, but they're taking less time to finish it off the machine, it's sort of a wash, you know. So
totally. And so what kind of like I'm envisioning is shapers can take more time on one like refining one blank, just like, hey, refine that, because then once that's done and it's scanned, you'll have that design that could be printed with our technology for as long as you want. Right. So, it's not so much of this rush, like I got another client, I got to get this board done. Right. It's like, hey, you want to shape something crazy because, you have more time now? Now it's going to actually allow people to explore more in different shapes.
Well, that was sort of that was SurfTech's goal. Yeah. That was Santa Cruz Surfboard's goal when they were making the molded epoxy boards, was that a shaper can make a master and spend a lot of effort on it, and then they'll pop out replicas.
The problem is the high cost of making that mold.
For
because
sure.
once you make your board, you're married to it. You spend like, I don't know, $20,000 or more, a lot more, and then you have to pump out, thousands of that same board.
And that's why That's why there's a failure to that model.
Exactly.
Is that model's hot for about a month. Right. The manufacturer has to push that model out for 16 months, and then it gets dull, and then sales drop, and then you can't afford it anymore. It's like evil. So. I like what you guys are doing with the and how long does it take to print a board?
Yeah, so about like 2.5 days.
2.5 days?
Yeah.
Wow. So we got to line up some printers.
That's right.
Yeah.
Right. And are you guys? I know it takes investors. It takes investing.
Yeah.
Are you pursuing investors still? Do you have your financing lined up?
Yeah, we're looking into it. We do want to grow, so.
So how do people get a hold of you guys?
Guy Kawasaki.
He commented he wants a 10-4 this wide, so we're watching.
He's a technology guy.
Yeah.
So because I know this sounds like this is not a cheap endeavor, to get this up to
the factory
scale.
And to be able to supply. The system. So I hope that comes to fruition.
And you're welcome to come back here. You're welcome to come back here as many times as you want and talk about it. We can blow it up a little bit.
Oh, for sure.
Well, I am excited about it. I love new surfboard technology. I really do, and I'm excited about it, and especially something.
It's also brave. It's brave for him both of you guys to take on this endeavor.
Yeah.
You're gonna be brave.
It's a pretty entrenched, just like the surf, skate, like it's. You have people that have been in it forever, and whatever industry it is, like anytime there's change, and people don't really know, right? The more people freak out, like what's that going to do to my job? All these things. It immediately goes to like the negative a lot of times, but we want to. A part of our mission is to educate people and work with people and explain like how we can, be a symbiotic relationship.
Yeah.
It's different too. I mean, right now, like I think of like, who's the young shaper? Dave Werner. He just turned 50 or something.
Right.
You are dealing with this kind of crusty, stubborn. Been in their routine for a long time.
Right.
Or they're dealing with a factory overseas.
Right.
So you do have it is going to be interesting how you're going to get these guys turned. I know how it is because I was the one who showed up with this new funky fin system, and they're just like, beat it, Coop. And so you will get that, but it goes back. It's the Ward Coffees and the Bob Pearsons that are like, yes, I want that. And that's how it'll change. So
Totally.
when one of those guys come into your camp, that's what you embrace, and that's another quill back there. You just keep putting those arrows in there.
Right.
Totally. And shaping is hard, and people can't do that when they're 70.
Right.
They're trying, but they need
Well,
80.
It's Doug Howe, personal friend of mine. It's the planer is not getting any lighter.
Right.
So,
And
totally.
the toxic materials, it's not good for your health. So there's only so far that you can take that.
Right.
And so for someone like Doug, this is a perfect example. Doug Howe, he's got so many amazing shapes, right? We could, scan some of his boards, right? And just amazing classic Doug Howe shape, and all of a sudden he's getting checks in the mail.
Yeah.
Off of his shape, right? And
Right.
he's not having to go in there and shape new boards,
Right. Yeah.
because he's built up that reputation of an incredible shaper, and people want his boards, want his shapes. But now we're giving him an opportunity to bring in some income off of all the hard work he's put into it.
Sure.
I'll tell you one thing:
Exactly.
shapers love getting checks in the mail. They love it.
Oh, not much work.
That's how you will entice them.
Yeah.
That's how we entice people to come into the Santa Cruz program. The shapers was that make a master, get checks in the mail. That's how you'll see that change. Is they do like that, and also it's like I said earlier, time is money. And so it really does make a big difference. I love that you're here in Santa Cruz and doing this in Santa Cruz. This is a board building town. It really is. It's one of the few that in anywhere that has such a core. San Clemente kind of is in that rank, but there's very few more and more all the time. So
Speaking of shapers, when we went down to Joby Aviation, we ran into Nik Strong-Cvetich.
Yeah, Nik works there. Yeah.
He'd be a good person if you got a knock on his door.
Oh yeah, no, I know.
Because he was working 2 feet from that.
The biggest, coolest 3D printer there.
Yeah, he was.
Yeah, and
another person is Kirk McGinty.
Yeah,
You know Kirk?
Yeah.
He's a visionary. Works for Google.
Yeah.
Visionary. Another guy you should go bang on his door. He'd be I'm sure he would be very interested.
And I do agree. Those are the guys, that love technology. Some surfboard shapers don't.
Yeah.
They're stuck in their way. But the ones who embrace technology are the ones that you'll see success with.
Right.
And being that we're new, we want to have you guys come back on the show.
Cool. Yeah.
And we get
Love
updates.
to.
And we want to bring, we want boards here.
Yeah, I know.
I want blanks. I want side cut-ups. I want to show everybody what's happening, because we can talk about it, but it's such a visual thing.
It is. It is.
And
It's cool.
so
You gotta feel it. You
Yeah.
gotta feel it in the water.
yeah, and
we're
honestly,
getting really close. We've
yeah,
only
and-
been around for about 6 months
Yeah.
or
You
so.
always have a board in the back of your car.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, when you guys have the product that you're satisfied with, we'll get you back on here. We'll blow it up.
Perfect.
And we'll really get deep into explaining to everybody what's going on.
Awesome.
And I honestly can't wait.
Cool.
To see what's going
Thanks,
on.
Patricio.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you guys.
Thanks,
Awesome.
Neil.
Appreciate it.
Thanks, TC.
T-Fox.
Thanks,
Awesome.
guys. All right.
Patricio. Yeah.
Thank you.
You guys, that's Swellcycle right there.
Swellcycle.com.
Yeah, swellcycle.com. Do we have a website up? Information on the World Wide Web?
Facebook's up, Swellcycle.
Remember
Swellcycle Surfboards.com.
yes.
And then Swellcycle on Instagram.
Okay, perfect.
Posting on.
Yeah, you guys, that's some really interesting technology, and it's the future of what we'll be dealing with in the surf industry.
Right.
Because I, for one, Neil, I quit building surfboards because I got sick. And
really?
I had a tumor cut off my finger. It was gnarly. And so it's not a clean industry. And anything we can do to clean it up, recycle, clean the world, it's better for everybody.
Good luck with your new board, TC.
Thank you.
We'll see you in the water body.
Yeah. What's next week, Neil? What do we got?
I don't remember.
We don't know?
No.
Well, everybody, thank you for tuning in. T-Fox, I say it every time. Thanks for having us on Santa Cruz Waves.
Do you have the the final Midtown concert this Friday night with James Durbin?
James Durbin,
big
Midtown.
event. It's gonna be like 2,000 people there.
The last one, which is always a big one. Did you call the cops yet and let them know it's the last one?
No, that was for Jeff Weirs and the Expendables.
Before we go, Neil, I just want to say one thing. Today I delivered 100 skateboards to Bay Photo Lab in Scotts Valley. Larry, the founder, a resident of Lahaina, him and Nelly have partnered, collected. I saw the pile of surfboards that have been donated. There must be 100. I saw this.
Yeah, Nelly.
So I saw one board there today, Neil. Mm-hmm. This is like a 10-4 Greek.
Oof.
Brand new, vintage, probably worth $10,000. I don't even know, man. Shit. But they have boogie boards, skateboards, surfboards, fishing gear. I mean, it was absolutely amazing. And I just, Larry, who founded Bay Photo here in Santa Cruz, he's a Lahaina resident, and I'm very proud of all the work. So Bay Photo, everybody support them. Nelly, good job, love you, bro. We'll see everybody next week on the Off the Lip Radio Show.